Today, we're going to talk about a golden key for homeschooling. Can you guess what it is? Hi there, sweet mommies. This is Sherry Hayes with MomDelights.com. I'm the mom of 15 children. I've been homeschooling for over 3 decades. And today I want to share something with you that will bless you and add to your life. So go ahead and wash the dishes, mop the floor, sweep the children, whatever you have to do. And listen as we dive into the good life in Jesus. So, recently I've been talking about things like habit and trusting God to find more time in your day. And this key that I'm going to share with you today is, well, it's something that we do all the time. It's natural. It's a biblical key. It's something that Jesus did with his disciples. It's something we've done with our children since they were first born, and maybe even before that. Okay, first I want to start off with reading a scripture passage to you. Here it is in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 12. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Again, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, 2 can withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. So that's really wonderful news that we need each other. God created us to need companionship in all the different areas of our lives. And that is actually the golden key of homeschooling. Now, this is something that's currently very popular, and it's referred to, when you watch homemaking videos or what have you, it's currently referred to as body doubling or clean with me or different ways that people put it. Okay, so I went online and found an AI overview of this idea, and it says this: body doubling is a productivity technique that involves working with another person to help you stay focused and motivated while completing a task. It also says it can be helpful for many tasks, including work, chores, exercise, schoolwork, and paperwork. So just about every area of one's life. Now, this comes naturally to us. We don't even realize we're doing it. We actually do it with our infants from the time they're born, because especially when they're tiny, they're with us pretty much every waking moment. They're around a parent or a parental figure. They are watching and learning and doing, how many kids mimic everything their parents do, right? If you're on the phone a lot, they're going to get something. They're going to make a block into a phone and they're going to talk into it, right? They're going to want to do everything mommy and daddy does, because that we all learn by body doubling. That's how we stay on task. We don't get as distracted. We get more encouraged. We don't get as discouraged, right? Okay, our own children are, by and large, they're all at different stages, emotionally, spiritually, all that kind of stuff. And we don't have any angels in our family, and everybody's sinners, saved by grace. We have drama in our family just like every other family in the world. We didn't raise everybody perfectly, and we're not perfect people. God has to cover us with his grace all times. Okay, but by and large, something that they don't have trouble with is they don't have any trouble with the work ethic, because when they were growing up, they saw mom and dad being conscientious and working, and we included them in our lives. That meant when we were doing errands, when we were working on the yard, when we were doing chores, our children were part of that, and we body doubled, and they learned just by pattern that that's what people do. And they body doubled each other on that same thing, right? So they don't have to work up being excited about work, because it's just a part of who they are. That's what they do. That's what people do, isn't it? We would tell them, and we actually showed them. We didn't really tell them as much as we showed them that life is work and work is life. That's everybody works. Even in heaven, we'll be working. That's Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, what were they doing? They were working. Now, it wasn't exhausting work. It wasn't by the sweat of their brow, but it was work, and it kept them busy and kept them enthused, kept them interested. And we're not supposed to be laying around all the day long eating grapes dropped from heaven. Anyway, now whenever I saw a child that was having a bad attitude, they weren't as enthusiastic, they weren't they were kind of like work is a bummer. Instead of ignoring this child that wasn't doing so well and relying more on the kids that I could count on, I would take this child under my wing and make them come closer to me. And then I would concentrate on teaching them as I went. And the extra parental attention, and sometimes it wasn't always positive attention, but the extra parental attention just really helped them to understand their worth, and it helped them to understand the importance of what they did, how it affected other people. And so after a while, they just caught on and it just started being part of who they were, right? Now, I've had to do this over and over again. This wasn't just a one-time thing, but it really has made a difference in their lives. As adults, they are sought after and relied upon because they were taught in this way. Okay, now if I noticed chores weren't getting done as a group, like it would be after dinner, I cooked or whoever cooked, they didn't have to clean, but everybody else would have to clean. So whenever it was clean time and I noticed that things weren't getting done very well, I had all kinds of things that I did. But one of the things that I would do is I would go in there and I would clean with them. And my presence cleaning with them would just pick the whole thing up and move it to a different level. And all of a sudden it's more important because mom's doing it too. Right. And it wasn't really spoken of. We didn't really like have a lecture on it or anything, but they would just notice me being there. And so it would make them want to do better. Right. And so it would pick everything up. Now, recently I did this with 3 of our children that are left at home because the older siblings were all getting busy. This happens in a large family. Things keep shifting, right? Because as the older people grow up, then everything shifts down to the next and the next and the next. So it was down to these last 3 children, and the older kids had been doing all these extra chores, and they were all busy and working and doing their things. And so now it was on my shoulders to do it. And I thought, no, this isn't good. So I took these girls and I made them shadow me all day long, and I taught them every aspect of homemaking that I could think of, right? So I taught them about shopping and meal planning and doing the laundry and how you clean and keep up on cleaning in all the different areas of the house. And it only took, I thought we were going to take about a month to do it, but it only took a couple of weeks and they totally caught on. And so from that point on, I didn't have to worry. I could just say to them, listen, I need you to do so and so and such, and they could do it. They knew how to do it. They had seen me do it. They had been with me and they were ready to go. And that really has paid in dividends. But now we have to shift again because everybody's getting busy. And now I'm having to streamline just because I'm doing it all again. But we're working it out. It's going to work out. Okay. Now also, when it comes to learning and academics, this is like the genius thing of homeschooling, right? Because our kids are going to be with their parents, and their parents are going to show them what it means to be an active learner, interested in things like history and science and math and writing. They're going to see it in you. Now, a lot of this, we don't even have to think about it, but sometimes we have to be more purposeful in it. One of the things that I found, and I have a lot of people write to me, I've had this question over and over again. They say, my son, my daughter, they don't like reading. They don't like reading good literature. I don't know what to do. When we go to the library, they don't want to even pick any books except for picture books, or they pick like the low hanging fruit books that you don't have to read, and it's kind of they don't get into literature at all. And so this is what I say to them. I say, I don't force my children to read books that I consider literature. What Charlotte Mason would call twaddle-free literature. I don't force them to read that stuff. What I do is I read it to them, and my enthusiasm and my interest in pulling them into these books, they automatically just develop this taste in this. They want more. So then if I suggest a book, they're more than willing to go and get, or I can even trust most of them. I'll say, listen, I want you to read like 3 good books this year. Why don't you go pick some? And they'll pick stuff. I mean, sometimes the stuff they pick is far beyond what I think they could do, and they even like better things than I suggest, right? And that's just because I developed that taste. I showed them what I liked and how I got enthused, and it just naturally spilled over to them. Okay. Now, also, people have asked me, how did you teach your children to draw? What kind of curriculum did you use? And, I've had to sit and think because I can't remember. We've never used curriculum for drawing. And our kids are artists and they've gone on to do amazing things, right? A lot of them, not all of them, but most of them are really artistically gifted and they do design and stuff. And so I wondered, how did that start? And then I recalled way back when our oldest children were little, and I would have color crayons and paper available for them. We never really, I think we've owned like maybe 2 coloring books and maybe printed out maybe 10 coloring pages. Really, I mean, our kids hate those things. Anyway, so I would sit and they would be drawing and I would draw and I would, my husband went to art school for a little bit and I dabbled in it when I was in high school. And so they looked at my old sketchbooks. They looked at my own old sketchbooks and I would just sit and I would just draw with them. And they were like, wow, this is so cool. And I would help them and we would draw different things. And we never corrected their art. We all said it was all wonderful. So it wasn't corrected. It was just always wonderful. And so they always felt wonderful. And so, they also body doubled their younger siblings. So they would be sitting coloring their younger siblings would watch them and they would catch the bug and then they'd do their thing. And it just kind of rolled downhill and snowballed. And now, we have all this artistic stuff going on all the time. And so that's how we did it. It was the idea, this golden key of just doing it in the presence of a person and they just catch on. It's like fire, it catches on. So now also something that I am doing currently that I think really would help a lot of people whose kids are struggling with math and with writing. Okay, 2 things that I'm doing. First of all, my daughter is currently going through Saxon algebra, and I've done this a number of times before. So she's going through Saxon algebra, and I do the lessons with her. I bought 2 Saxon algebra books. When I say I do the lessons with her, I mean I sit down with my algebra book and my notebook and I do each lesson. So I read through the lesson and I do all the exercises while she's doing her exercises. And what that does for her, I can't even explain how amazing that is. I've done this a number of times, and what it does is it cuts way down on frustration. It gives them more enthusiasm. And, when they're having a problem with something, I don't have to like get my brain back into algebra, like I'm washing dishes, I'm doing the bills or something. I don't have to get my mind out of this world and try to focus back on algebra. I'm already there. So if they have a problem, I can help them, right? Now, I'm not a math whiz. I took algebra back when I was 14 years old in school. And so it was a while, but I've taught algebra a number of times with my kids, but it was always like I had to get back into it. You learn more when you teach it than when you're learning it, right? So anyway, so I'm not a math whiz, so you could do this too. And you could start like if you have children that are having trouble with long division. When you print out a sheet of long division, you hand it to them, you do the same sheet with them. Or in whatever book you're using, you can do it with them. And they'll see that you are doing it and you're handling it and you can, show them back and forth and you're working it together. And it just, I don't know, it just does amazing things. It's such a wonderful thing to do. And also, if you have a child that's struggling with writing, there is something that I've been doing that I will show you that I think will really help. So this is a nicer little spiral notebook. It's about half sheet size. And what I've been doing is I've been writing to them. It's like a co-journal. It's like a 2-person journal. So I write to a child and they write back to me. And when I'm writing, what I do is I teach them little precepts about, creative writing. I teach them how to write a news story. I teach them how to write an informal essay or a formal essay. I can help them with actual questions about living on planet Earth, like relationships and, the difference between men and women, all kinds of stuff. I can write all that stuff in this journal. And because it's in writing and we're not like face to face, They can ask me questions that I can answer that maybe would be a little tricky for them to ask me in person. So they're also learning creative writing while we're having this communication with each other, this back and forth. And it's really, really sweet. So this is another form of body doubling that you can do. You could do this with science, you could do it with history, you could do it with so many different things. So there's just an idea of that. That's not, I don't know if you call it body doubling. Really, it is, but it isn't. But it's one of those things. It has the same idea that you are doing the activity that you want them to learn, right? Now, this is what I've been talking about. This body doubling, you do it and I do it together kind of thing. This is the Jesus way of teaching, isn't it? Because when he was on this earth, he experienced all the things his disciples experienced, but they watched him how he dealt with difficult people. They watched how he was God's arm of compassion and kindness and healing to individuals. He watched them as he they watched him as he they watched him as he sat and ate in sinners' houses, tax collectors and the worst of the worst. He was there. He was encouraging people. He was showing them God's mercy and God's love. And they watched this, and this is how they learned about the kingdom of God, by what he said, but also by what he did, right? So I would like to read you a scripture about that, and it's in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15. For we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. He is Emmanuel, which means God with us. So he walked in our shoes. He trod the dusty trails. He did all the same things we are doing every day, right? So I hope you see how powerful this principle is. And I hope you can develop even more fun ways than I've talked about here of like the do as I do kind of idea. The mentoring that is nonverbal, but is all full of action. And I hope this blesses you. And I hope that you can not only use it in your own family, but you can spread it to other people, have them watch this video. Maybe they can learn from it and it'll encourage them too. And if you could like and subscribe and all those bells and everything. And the CP book, we're still working on it, and I'll let you know as we get more done. I hope I can get more done. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.